Pizza Head Podcast is an animated show that can be found on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram under the name Pizza Head Podcast. So go check it out. I'm the animator and the voice of Pizza Head, but I'm the voice of Pizza Head.
Hey, welcome back to the Pizza Head Podcast. Uh, we got a guest here, Noel, the gamer guy, straight from Chicago. Welcome in. Welcome in. All right, welcome back.
Up? What
You
up?
spawned in. All right, so we're gonna be talking about some. What do you were asking me animation questions? So you're thinking about doing your own podcast, your own animation
Yeah.
stuff?
I've always wanted to do animation. Um, I just never really knew where to start,
Me neither.
honestly. Even if it was just like the basic stuff. Um, so I would never really well, actually, I guess I should say I never really looked into it, right? Like the type of person that well, if I really want to do something, I'll find a way to do it. Like that's how I found out how to fix games, how I found out how to rebuild a whole computer, stuff like that. But I guess it's just that one thing that like I always drew, but I never thought about like taking the time to figure that out, like animation and putting all that together.
Yeah,
So I thought I'd pick your brain on that a little bit
no
and
problem.
see
I
how
I'm in the
you
same boat.
started and all that. So
I'm in the same boat because when I was a kid, growing up, we're roughly the same age. I always used to watch, we would watch television, whatever was on, and Looney Tunes was always on, Tom and Jerry. I've said this before, I think, but it would fascinate me. The backgrounds were so, like Roadrunner and Tom and Jerry, all the backgrounds always look so amazing to me. And then on top of that, you have the cartoon. So I learned how to, I guess, start before the internet, just start looking for like ideas, like how are they doing that? And I will buy books on the subject. I'm not a professional animator. I went to school for graphic design. I wanted to go for animation, but I thought it would take too much time. And now here I am learning from scratch. I kind of started doing it. I didn't even watch YouTube video. I wasn't even gonna do this Pizza Head stuff anymore, but my friends just kept saying like you should keep doing it. It's funny and slowly it's
it
got
is,
better.
man. It's good. I really
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah, we're gonna make you a character one of these days. A deep dish pizza, or what did you say?
That'd be awesome.
What's the style of pizza?
uh,
Because you said that's
the
not a
it's like square pizza, like tavern or like thin crust.
okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to. I'll draw something up, or maybe you could draw something, and we could stick it in there.
That'd be sick. Honestly, you could probably just draw it the same way you do Pizza Hut. Just make them square.
Make him his cousin from
Yeah,
Chicago.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll write something up for that. But
That'd be awesome.
so the animation program I'm using. I do everything on the iPad. I've been thinking about going over using the iPad as a drawing tablet, connecting it to the computer and using Adobe, which is what I'm eventually going to do because I'm running out of space on my iPad. I got so many sound effects and scenes and yeah, I'm just always filling it with stuff. But the one that I use is called Flip a Clip. You also got Rough Animator. They're about
Okay.
$5 to $10. It's not expensive at all. And then I also use Procreate to get looking a little crisper. But I guess where you should start is, well, first get an idea that you like. That's not gonna.
Right.
I wish I wouldn't have picked the name Pizza Head because it's so generic. I wish I would have just done
I
like,
think that's what makes it great though, because it's generic.
yeah,
You know? Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Or like, are you talking about making it like something different, like a Pizza Steve or something, some shit
yeah.
like that?
I didn't know it was already a name that was taken.
Let's
I
call him
didn't even
Pizza
think of that.
Joe.
Pizza Joe, yeah. Or I was gonna call him Pizza Face the first time. I should have went with that.
Pizza Face would have been cool too.
Yeah, but or it's just some random like Meat Canyon. He's like the most famous animator online right now, or he wants to quit doing it. I guess he said. But I think those kind of names are good for websites, starting websites, because you just slap two names to. I don't know how he did it actually. I'm not gonna speak for him, but like just take like here I got a Jenga and a bottle of Lion's Mane. I will
Hmm.
call it Jenga Mane, and people will be like, "What is that?" It's
Right.
nothing. It's just a you know, or even like Mr. Beast. He probably, I think that was his gamer tag, and he just ran with it.
Yeah,
You know.
that's awesome. So
So
when you draw, are you all right? So say for an example, you decide I'm gonna do this episode. I saw your like storyboard type process, which I think is pretty cool. Are
right
you
on.
literally just like looking at that and redrawing it in your iPad, like seeing um like your scene by scene type thing, or like how are you, I guess, doing that? And then like for each like scene where you're moving their mouth, are you just like keeping the same pick and you're just replacing their mouth with different images so that it looks like they're opening it? Or I know that Adobe has like this new stuff for animation. I don't know if you saw that. So it basically, if you use a camera, it'll put dots on your face and it'll make the expressions change on the animation.
Really? That would
Yeah,
save me a
dude.
lot of a lot of
Yeah,
time.
dude. I was just so when we were talking about this briefly the other day, I was looking up some stuff online and I came across that. It's a new feature and I think it's free. I don't even think you need to pay for it.
Well, Adobe's a
And
subscription model now, which bugs me, but I guess
yeah,
you got to
I guess
pay.
like the actual uh feature isn't extra is what I'm saying. So if you're already paying for it, I don't think you have to pay extra for it, but there's like built-in um like mouth like movements, right? Like different images for like what
Yeah.
you would say. So
Yeah,
the
like
cool thing
AI.
is, yeah, and it's basically AI, animation AI. So what's
That's tight.
happening is if you're talking and you want Pizza Hut to say something, right? It'll match what you're saying to the image. So if you're saying, "Oh," it'll grab that mouth and
I'm
automatically
definitely gonna use
match
that.
it. Yeah, dude. I thought that was pretty cool. So again, there's like a preset of like here's some mouths preset for like animation, but then it gives you the general idea of like, hey, if these are the movements that you need for Pizza Head, you just draw your own and then you could put them in there and it'll automatically sync to everything that you're saying.
I'm gonna have to probably do a YouTube tutorial on that, but to answer your question, I'm doing it the old school way where I literally just looked up because I knew that making the mouth move is very important. Sometimes I get lazy and I don't do it all the way, but there's a chart, there's multiple charts online where you can it just goes through the mouth movements like the L, the O is a circle. There's a chart with letters underneath and it tells you, put so I just
How to
started
draw their
playing.
mouth.
Yeah, and I started playing with that and eventually I don't know how many episodes I've done so far, but I kind of memorized some of them, so it's like muscle memory. But the thing that I'm doing, I don't know if it's wrong, but I just do it because these clips are only like 45 seconds to a
Mhm.
minute long. And then I stitch them together to make longer episodes. The thing that I'm doing is I'm using 12 frames per second. You're supposed, if you could do 12 frames per second or 24 frames per second when you start, for amateurs that are doing animation. I'm like myself, like you want to do one. 12 frames per second is very forgiving because you can kind of get away with stuff. Like I'll just hold a scene, a drawing on there, and like you said, I'll draw the mouth over it. So what I'll
Mhm.
do is I'll draw him with his mouth closed and his mouth open. I'll run the lines. I'll see where that ends, and then I'll go back and where I need it to stand out. Like for example, the Sancho Sasquatch character. It was very funny when my buddy John, who also plays the beer, he did an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, and I wanted to get those mouth movements so it would capture your attention, make you
Yeah.
laugh. And I was like, I gotta get in there and make it look good, which I don't know if I did or I tried, right? And so I that's what I did. It's like roughing it in, like a storyboard. The Pizza Head podcast is basically like a storyboard. If you look at it closely, it's getting better. Like I'm not doing that as much anymore, but what I was trying to do was just get us all together, crack some jokes, stick it on a animation as quickly as possible, and then just
Right.
kind of get away with nobody noticing that I don't know
Right.
what I'm fucking doing.
That's
but
awesome.
but eventually, like anything else, you get good at it, and the
Yeah.
more time you put into it, there's little
So
tricks.
I
Yeah,
was
go ahead.
watching your really old ones, and I could see the difference from like when you first
Yeah,
started to like
they
where you're at
suck.
now.
Yeah.
But it's like they were still funny, but you could tell that you weren't doing as much like with the motions and like the mouth movements. It wasn't the same as like what you're doing now, but you could tell that gradually got better to where you're at. So that's
It,
awesome.
it
Like
was
that's
literally we just started it during the pandemic, or I started it just like as a naively, I thought a triangle is easy. I could just try it over and over again. It'll be easy. I won't have to.
right.
And then I drew arm. That's why he didn't have arms and legs in the beginning. And I'll just stick him in that pizza shop. He just doesn't have to move too much. And I can, because the first one that I made on my other Instagram account, I was gonna do this thing called Action News, because in all the old cartoons, whenever there was news, it would say
Yeah.
Action News and they would
Right.
do a clip. So I was just gonna do like a news roundup and have a guy, I drew a character, and he would just talk about the news, because I was like, the news, there's always news. I could do that every day and it'll be easy. Now there's another guy on TikTok that does a news roundup that's very good. I should remember his name and stick it in here, but I follow him, but he doesn't do animation. But I quickly dropped that because I was like, who wants to hear news from me? I don't know what I'm talking about. And I wanted to do animation anyway, but you see what I'm saying?
So
Like, just
yeah.
pick an idea and run with it is all I'm saying. Just
So
start
when
it.
you have your drawings done, are you recording and then matching the mouth movements? And then also, how are you stitching the audio with your slides? And I guess how are you stitching your slides together to like run them as an animation? I literally have
On
never
F-
really looked into any of that. That's why I'm asking.
on Flip a Clip, there's a under like any animation program you use, you'll have your scene uh
Mhm.
window. It's like a window for your scenes and a window just for your audio, and it drops down. You can still see, you probably seen it on television, like behind the scenes making of type stuff, and it'll run it so you can see and literally slow it down. So when I first started this pizza thing, my girl, it would drive her nuts because I used to start at Pizza Head, Pizza Head. So I would have to run that, and then you're running it backwards, so it sounds like demonic, like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
damn.
it used to take me hours and days to do 45. Now I could do it really quickly, but it used to drive her nuts. And that's the thing is, when you're doing it, it's like when you're playing video games, you get locked in, and you're like, I gotta finish this. I wanna
Yeah.
just get through this last part. It it's pretty. Yeah, you just gotta get your hands dirty with it, and you'll start figuring out like, oh, like I'll literally, like right now I did one with Luis, right? We recorded one where he's in a tuxedo. I put the little chili pepper in a tuxedo, and I'll just chop off the ends. He records it really well when we do it at his house because he's an audio tech, or
Hmm.
all about Luis's stuff. But when I do it at my house, I just do it real dirty. Like sometimes I just record straight into
To the app.
the app, as you get, if you listen to the podcast, the
But you
last
guys are
couple,
doing it all at once though, right? Like I'm saying, like if you
no,
guys are
not
on the same
always.
space, or are
That
you
was
like stitching audio
no,
together?
no. Sometimes I'll just take. Sometimes when like the P Diddy thing happened,
That shit
I
was
made one.
funny.
I made one about P Diddy, or when the Will Smith thing where he slapped Chris Rock. My buddy Rock told me to make one. He was like, he, I was trying to stay on top of the trends. I'm not really doing that anymore because that's not really why I started doing them. I just do it when I think it'll be funny. When I started doing those, I'll literally just take. I'll call, or I'll text my buddy John, or Andy the alien, or not Luis because he really doesn't like doing this, but I'll be like, just speak into the microphone and say these lines, and I'll have them. They'll do it in their own way. I don't really like to tell them what to do because that's
Yeah.
what makes it funny. And then I'll take it and I'll stick it into an audio, because I'm a musician too. I stick it into like either GarageBand or whatever, Logic or something, and I'll clean it up. And it's just a short clip, so
Yeah.
sometimes you can't tell, sometimes you can because I get lazy. But it's really just like cobbled together because everybody's busy. We all have kids, we all have
Right.
full-time jobs. Andy has been pretty good about just, he'll be out working. I'll be like, hey, say Dr. Horse, or goodbye, Mr. Horsecock, and he'll laugh, and he sends it to me, and he like they kind it's a trip because I'm not the only one that writes it. Like John will write it. I try to let Andy write them, but he doesn't really. He likes just doing he likes, Andy the alien is good at just go. Like I just let him go, and he'll just say some funny stuff, like off the top of his head.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
best with
hilarious.
him. John will write out entire episodes. I write entire episodes, and we'll kind of clip them together because they're
Okay.
just seconds, you know.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good about the inflections that I have in my mind when they send me the audio. It's like that's how I wanted it to
Yeah.
go. Or they'll send me like 3 different ones. So I don't really have to give them a lot of direction.
That's
And
cool.
sometimes, they'll give me direction. It's really a family affair over here at the
Yeah.
Pizza Head Podcast. Pizza Head Podcast, if you guys want postcards and stickers, I'm sending them out. You just got to give me your address and I will send you some pizza. Did you get your stickers yet?
I did. I was gonna post it today,
All
actually.
right. You
Yeah.
got the
Yeah,
postcard
those are
too?
sick too. Yep.
Right on. I'm going to be making some more stuff like that. I dropped some at the Santa Rosa Zine Fest. I dropped some there. We went to it was record store there. Record store day that day. We hit some record stores with my buddy Rock. We dropped some at some record stores or a record store. And I'm just trying to get more people to watch it, or they can post it or not, whatever, if you get the stickers. But I don't know. It just seems to me like not that many people are into some dude drawing cartoons on the internet, but some people really like it, like
Oh, there
yourself.
are
It
there
gives
there are,
you
man. You just feel like
inspiration.
once it gets out there some more, there's definitely a market for that because first of all, I've always liked stuff like that growing up. Short clips, like as long as they're
Yeah.
funny and they're catchy, like it's hilarious. And the fact that it's like not super crazy clean like cartoons on TV, like that's what
Yeah.
makes me like it even more. Also, like I miss stuff like that because when I was a kid watching stuff like on TV back then, it was like they were a little more rough as far as like with
Yeah.
animations, you know. So bringing that back in general, and it's relatable too. It's funny, like in that way, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
trying to do, or that's what we're trying to do.
yeah.
But if you watch like the first season of The Simpsons or the first couple seasons of I'm highly influenced by The Simpsons. I'm a millennial. But I miss when they would do like a dream sequence and everything would look all weird. And you could tell that they drew all those scenes by hand. Now,
Yeah.
The Simpsons is done on a computer. And I think
So
that
I
style
was
has
just
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry, you were delayed. Go ahead.
No, I just was gonna say I think that style of the computer style has a place in animation, but I think Rick and Morty do it the best, where they just do everything on the computer. It looks great.
Yeah.
Whereas on The Simpsons, I kind of miss that old rough style, like when Bart would move his head and his mouth would go one way and his head would go the other way,
Yep.
stuff like that. Little things. Anyways,
So speaking of that, I was literally watching something the other day about this exact thing. And basically the thing was everybody was drawing everything by hand, right? And the person that was speaking on this was actually the voice of Bart Simpson.
oh, the lady.
Yeah, and I forget her name, but she was basically talking about this and was like, everybody was saying, you know, how the animations looked before, and like, you know, we agree, like everybody misses those type of animations, but the amount of work and how many episodes they were pushing out, it was like hard and
Yeah,
laborious, you know, and like when the new tech came out that made it easier, they jumped on that, obviously, right? So everything's cleaner now, it's way
I mean,
different.
yeah,
They use the what's that tablet called? I forgot what that. It's made by Wacom. It's like that really
I
big
know what you're talking about.
drawing
Yeah,
tablet, the art one. And she was basically just saying like, you know, what they do now for animations is when they want to get really detailed and like, you know how like I don't know if you grew up watching SpongeBob at all, right? Like
yeah,
I grew up in the
yeah.
90s,
Like
so
SpongeBob.
98 I was only 7 years old, so I've been watching SpongeBob since, you know, 98.
Yeah.
And where I'm going with this is if you watch SpongeBob now, it's super clean. But then when they want to have like those gross looking scenes where they zoom in on his face where you can see the pimple and
Mm.
all that shit, that's all drawn out, hand drawn.
You know what? That is it clicks something in my mind is what I'm trying to say. But in that same vein of what you're saying, because I like that. That's
Right.
exactly how I would do it if I
Yep.
ever made an actual show or it got bought or something. I would want it to
Yeah.
be like that. And that's also what I like, to switch it over to games for a second. That's what I like about certain games where let's say you got to beat them up. I always thought they should do this in a video game. I think they have. Let's say you have a scrolling beat 'em up, which is fine. There's millions of them. Scroll and beat 'em up. style standard game. There should be parts where you walk into a room and it becomes like a first person shooter, like as a mini game, and then you walk into a part and it turns into an actual Street Fighter style. I don't know how hard that maybe in would take a stronger computer that can run that kind of processing speeds of that
That would
type
be
of thing.
awesome.
But why don't they like? Because they obviously have mini games in games, but why don't they switch stuff up like that more often? Because the I know we're talking about animation, but I have been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption, and I'm like, man, this game is awesome. It's got everything you need.
All right.
It makes you keep coming back to it, and then you'll play like a game like um what's oh, we got 10 minutes left. I was just gonna say you'll play a game like what like they have these AAA games like oh my god, it's this weird alien game that I bought where it's like a puzzle game and you're walking around. It's like this is kind of boring and it's $60. Like what are you guys doing? And there's these huge budgets. Then you have these indie games that are super low budget. Like I'm playing this one called Golf Story right now. It's just a fun little golf game, and it's great. And I come keep it's got replayability, and that's kind of how I treat bringing it back to animation. That's kind of how I treat when I'm doing animation stuff. I only do it when you feel like excited. When you wake up in the morning, you maybe have a new pair of shoes or you bought a new game or something, you're excited to go play with it. When I have an idea that I like on the Pizza Hut podcast and I'm like, oh man, I gotta finish this, it's gonna be funny. That's when I'm like, okay, this is good. I gotta put this out. But if I'm just like forcing myself to do something that's like something that's popular on the internet, I think that's kind
Right.
of lame.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like if your heart's not in it, then I wouldn't do it. Um again, like the where you're getting your motivation from now is I feel the reason why they're even good because that's where you're getting, you're pushing that idea that you have in your head and you actually love that idea and are looking forward to the end result. I
Yeah.
personally feel like that's better because I don't feel like and that goes across the board with everything, right? When somebody's like, "Oh, I'm doing this because, pop culture is telling me to and this is what's in," and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like I get it. I get that you're trying to get like views, but at the same time,
It's
you're
boring.
not, it's boring. It's not like you're not really into this, as much as like the other things. And then you'll notice that like the amount of like quality goes down with some of that stuff too, because you're just not, I guess
Yeah,
like
you're phoning it in.
I guess it depends, right? Now that I think about this, it depends. If you have multiple people that are helping you, right? I'm saying in general, right? Somebody that's doing animations, you might specifically like, oh, I don't want to do this. But I guess that's why you have different writers, right? Like
Exactly.
somebody might have, motivation to do, hey, I got this idea, and you're like, I can't write stuff like that. So and so is gonna write this. He loves stuff like that. Like that
Yeah.
might make it funny because that person knows what that is and is in love with that specific topic of that episode and like they're going to make it as great as like anything else that you might have, right? So it
Yeah.
depends on how relatable it is to the person that's actually writing it.
Yeah, that's John and I, my buddy John, who is the beer and the Sasquatch. We kick back and forth ideas and I try to implement his ideas over mine, even though I usually go with mine because we're all humans and we think we're the funniest. But I know as an artist that I'm probably wrong. I gotta step back and be like, if he's the one that thinks this is funny, I'm not him. Let me just
Right.
let him do it. And then there's less work for me, so it's like, okay, let's run with it. And it usually turns out pretty funny.
um your show reminds me of Aqua Teen Hunger Force
Yeah,
sometimes.
everybody says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really watch a lot of that, but I mean, they were like 15 minutes long, but I did like that show, the
Yeah.
meatball, the
It's
what
great.
is it? It's a meatball, fries, and a
And
shake, right?
and drink.
And then there's a hairy guy that's like the landlord.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah, do you know what the point of that show is? It was just clips like what I'm doing,
I
right?
think it's just a show about nothing. I don't recall it ever having like a premise or anything
I
to
like
the
that.
show. I love stuff like that, dude, because it's just like the daily shit, like I don't I don't want there to be an end when
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, this is what it's about, and it's just got this plot. They have to find this, and then the moment that they do, it's over. And I'm like, well, I don't want that. I want
Yeah, like
something
when
that, like,
Futurama ended. That was a sad.
yeah,
Then they brought it back,
and
and
they
then it
brought it
ended,
back,
and they brought it back again.
right? And it's just like when you have a show like that, that's just like about the day to day. I think it's hilarious. Like, there's never that's ongoing, right? I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
that character has a life, and we're just looking at all their daily stuff going on in their life, which I think is great because it's random and, like, that's what makes it funny because those things, are things that could happen, like, the
Yeah.
Pepper episode, the one recently where his, like, arm goes around, like, the
Yeah, I want to
alien.
do more stuff like that.
Bro, that was hilarious. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna keep I'm starting to do I don't know where my book is right now, but I'm gonna do more. So what I was talking about earlier, when we got like 5 minutes left, so let me wrap this up. End it at the beginning here, where that's my daughter over there. But uh, when you start animating, if you try to do this and you go for 12 frames per second, what I was doing was I was just moving, like, you could tell the movements are really like jerky. So now to make it look more flowy, like what you just mentioned, the latest episode that I did, is I'm letting the frames run, but that takes a lot more time because I have to draw every single
Yeah.
frame.
Yep, exactly.
So, and then I don't really know because I took animation for like one semester, not even, and I wasn't paying attention because back then all I was doing was uh, I can't mention it here on this podcast, but it wasn't good. So I was just getting into just being a knucklehead, drinking too much, hanging out with people I shouldn't. But what I did learn was that what I learned was I didn't know what to do. So that's kind of what I'm learning right now. I know how to draw. I kind of know how to animate. So I'm learning like the in between things. Like you gotta have a I forgot what it's called, but one frame is like your main frame. And then you got your next frame you want to get to. And in between those frames, you got to make it look smooth to make him look like his arms going up and he yanks him
Yep,
down. Because when he's
yep,
he's going up to grab him, that took like 55 frames. But then
yep,
when he brings him in, that took like one frame or two.
right.
So it's like, and then remember this if you do start animating that 2 frames equals 1 second. So that's how I get the mouth to move and go and stop.
Okay,
You want those 2 seconds for people because sometimes when I first started, I would animate everything and then you got to get that timing right or else it's not funny. You know
right.
what I mean? So that's my 2 cents from somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm kind
no,
of
that's
doing it.
helpful for sure. That's
But yeah,
awesome.
this is gonna end. We're gonna start doing some more episodes. You're gonna come back and tell us all about your new animation project when you started. If you want t-shirts, go to Pizza Head Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can get t-shirts. If you want stickers and postcards, you just let me know on one of those socials. I'll send you out some postcards. Talking to you folks out there listening on the interwebs. But anything else you want to talk about? Maybe next time we'll do a show about just video games. Since
Yeah, we could do that.
you fix up video games and sell video games, tell them about your Instagram handle there.
Yeah, you can find me at Retrobit. That is R3TRO8IT
Okay,
on
Retrobit
Instagram.
on Instagram, and that's where you
Yep.
primarily sell. Hello, hi. That's where you sell your stuff is through Instagram.
Yeah, through Instagram. I also just like post stuff
I
when
might
I
I
when I
might
get
want to
it.
buy
Like,
something from you. Actually, I was looking at your inventory. I kind of want to get some of your.
dude,
Uh,
even if you have whatchamacallit, some games that you want to mod, like, oh no, you do that yourself too, right?
I kind of stopped doing it. I'm not as good. You know what I want to pick your brain about is I'm thinking about getting a. I already have a Retroid Pocket, the first one. I'm thinking about either getting the fourth one
Mm-hmm.
or an Odin because I want to
Oh
run
yeah.
GameCube on it. because I have GameCube emulation on here. But it's about to cut out. Okay, thank you for listening to the Pizza Head
See you,
Podcast. Say
dude.
bye to everybody, Maya.
Bye.
Okay.